Equivalent fractions, page 90. What is a fraction? What is a fraction? Yeah.
It's like a part of a number.
Part of a what? Right. Part of a part of a whole. Absolutely. Not H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E. Part of a whole. Now that's for an ordinary fraction. Part of a whole. You have a top number, which is known as your bottom number. Your numerator on top, your denominator on the bottom. Okay. And the bottom, the denominator represents how many total parts there would be. The top represents how many of those total parts you would have. Part of a whole. When we talk about equivalent, what do you think of? What does it mean if they are equivalent fractions? Okay. Within the word equivalent, you may start to see the part of the word equal. Okay? So yeah, you would say equal. And what does equal mean to you? Yeah. Same. Mean the same thing. Now, one of the more common fractions that's used is half, right? 1/2. And you'll know what 1/2 is if I were to use the comparison of, well, what always gets used when you talk about fractions, pie or pizza, right? You can all visualize what half of a pizza would look like. If you put your own pizza in the oven, you old enough to do that yet? You probably are. Pull it out, take the pizza slicer, take one slice right down the middle, you just cut it in half. Okay? So we would have, if we cut the pizza in half, you would have 2 total pieces, and each of those sides would represent one of those 2 total pieces. Okay? But usually people don't eat pizza that way. It's a pretty big piece. Okay? Unless they're by themselves. And they don't really care what people see them looking like when they're eating it. Most of the time, half a pizza is going to be too big of a piece to eat. I prefer to cut my pizza into eighths. Now let's say I wanted to eat the same amount of pizza. I still wanted to eat half the pizza. How many of the 8 pieces would I have to eat the same as one of the bigger ones? Liam? 4. These are equivalent fractions. 1/2 is equivalent or equal to 4/8. My tummy would be just as full eating 4 of the smaller slices than it would be eating one of the bigger ones. Okay? Now there's 2 ways in which we get equivalent fractions. And the first way is by multiplication. This way is the easy way. In the equivalent fraction that we just used, what did I multiply my original numerator and denominator by to get 4/8? Pencil. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. They are equivalent. Now that's the rule. It's much easier to make equivalent fractions using multiplication because I can pick any number I want. I just have to make sure I multiply the numerator and the denominator by that same number. So let's say I wanted to make an equivalent fraction for half, but I want to multiply numerator and denominator by 100. Can I do that? I just said I can multiply by any number I want. So 1 times 100 is, 2 times 100 is, are those equal? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so whatever you choose, you just have to make sure what you do to the top is what you do to the bottom. What you do to the numerator is what you do to the denominator. All right? Now I'm going to give you a fraction, and I'm going to want you to make 2 equivalent fractions using multiplication. Give me 2 equivalent fractions using multiplication. Larissa, what was the first one you made? 6 over 9, you say? Okay, very good. So what did you multiply both your numerator and denominator by? Times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Equivalent. Another one. To Caleb. So what's up here? And awesome. 2 times 11 is 22. 3 times 11 is 33. You pick. How about you, Casimir? And what did you get? Awesome. Deshaun, what did you get? Yeah, times 10 is a really easy one. Times 10, that one's great to use. Because really all you have to do is you just put a 0 at the end of each of the. Okay. How about you, Desi? 10 15th, you went times 5. Good. Any questions on that? Deshaun? No? Yes? What did you use? Okay. Well, you can use 2. You can use 2, you can use 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100, 30, 60, 37, whatever you want. Okay. Carlos? Fine. But, whoa. 8 18ths would be times 4. Yeah, I see that would be 8 12ths, not 8 18ths. You could do that. See, Carlos said this. He said, okay, so I did this. I multiplied it by this, then I took this one, and I multiplied this one. Let's say I multiplied this one by 2. And then I got 12 over 18. Is that okay? Is this and this and this, are they all equivalent? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yep. You can do 8 12ths. Any question with the multiplication? All right. Now, if multiplication is one of the ways you can make equivalent fractions, what's the other way? Division. Dun, 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 dun. So if we take a look at 10 12ths, and we want to make an equivalent fraction for 10 12ths using division. Now, with multiplication, I can use whatever numbers I want. Do I have the same luxury with division? No, because if I look at this 10 12th and I say, oh, you know what? That 10, that ends in a 0, so I can divide it by 5. That's correct. However, you can't divide the 12 by 5, therefore you can't use it. What you need to figure out is, what can you divide both the 10 and the 12 by so that you can break them both down? Faith? 2. They're both even. So 10 divided by 2, Faith, is what? 12 divided by 2? And there you go. Can you break down 5/6 any more than what's up there? No, we would say that that fraction is in what? It's in simplest form. Cannot be broken down any more. All right, ready for one? $12.36. Any suggestions? Any suggestions? Maya? 2/6. So you went by 6? 2/6 works. What else? Yeah. 1/3 works. What else works? Mariah? That would eventually break down to that, yes. Carlos? Sure. 6/18 would work. Liam? 4/12. Okay. Now some of them you'll luck out. Like for this 12/36, you got a bunch of different options because they have so many what in common? Factors in common. Yes. Only if they ask you. Now, sometimes they will ask you to put it into simplest form. And in fact, if you look at 12/36, what is that in simplest form? It's the 1/3. Do you know why? And don't tell me because you can't break it down anymore. Mariah. Okay, right. Now, what did we use to divide the 12 and the 36 by to get our fraction into simplest form? What's that called? What's that called? What's that called? What did I just find? Frank. Their GCF. Their greatest common factor is 12. Now, scroll up. 12 divided by 12 is 36 divided by 12 is 3. You will get your fraction into simplest form if you divide both the numerator and denominator by their GCF. I know some of you would prefer to use the axe method where you just keep chopping at it, keep chopping at that fraction until you can't anymore. But what's the problem with that sometimes? Sometimes we forget to keep chopping until it's completely done. So now there's usually always a better way. That would be the better way. I'm going to hand out your worksheet.